And here we go. Good evening, everybody, and how are we all doing today? It is Sunday, the 1st of March, 2026. Can you believe it? We are into March already. Where has the time gone? It just seems to have flown by. But here we are. I'm not complaining because this weekend, dare I say it, we have had some rather dry weather, which is very, very welcome. And hopefully that means we're going to get a lot more dry weekends coming up. I made a suggestion at work this week, and I think this is a good idea, that we have flexible weekends, i.e., when we've had weeks and weeks of dry weather, we just switch the weekend to the dry days so that we can make a bit of a benefit from it. What do you think of that idea? What do you think of that? Now, coming up tonight, we are going to be going through a collection of goodies that I got from the Garden Press event. I'm going to go through them with you, and I want to hear your thoughts on what these goodies are, whether you think they're going to be something we could use or something you would avoid. Completely up to you. There's no right or wrong answers to this. It's going to be very much up to you. But before that, let's see if anybody is actually watching. Over on Instagram, Yontan is joined, and Norfolk, Chile is joined. Welcome along. Lovely to see you. Welcome to see you. Over here, we've got Adrian saying hi, Richard. All good evening to you. We've got Kate saying good evening, Veg Army. Good evening to you. Turbo Stream is there saying good evening, Veg Podcasters. Good evening to you. Nathan is there saying good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Anna Jones, good evening, gardeners. Good evening to you. Mr. Bednose, evening all, back in the land of living after almost the whole week ill in bed. Hope you're feeling much better now, Ian. Lovely to see you. Hargrave Gas, evening all. Hope you've had a great week. Indeed, I hope you've had a great week as well. Stuart Jackson, evening, Richard and the Veg Army. Hope we all been able to go out in the gardens, or like me, in the greenhouse. Indeed, indeed. And Nigel, Mr. Muddy Boots, evening all. Sunshine at last. Indeed, it is looking like sunshine at last. It's very welcome. Very, very welcome indeed. So, as I've already said, I want to go through some goodies that I got this recently at the so it's Garden Press event. I should explain what a Garden Press event is. It's a chance for people who are in the garden media to go to this event and meet with brands, meet with people who want to get their products or services into the garden media. It could be TV people, and it could be newspapers, magazines, and then there's podcasters and YouTubers, bloggers, Instagrammers. We're all there at this event, and there's quite a few brands there, and they're basically just trying to get their products seen. So we'll get into that in just a moment. First of all, Toby Clark, evening, Veg Legends. Good evening to you. And we've got Rebecca. Good evening. We've had sunshine and rain today. Mixed bag, isn't it? Mixed bag this weekend. Digwell has also joined, saying hi all. That's a bit of a quiet entrance for Mr. Digwell, isn't it? So let's get into it. Let's see what is in this first bag. Actually, is there anything in this first bag? Okay, so this came from British Garden Centres. And what are they doing? Basically publicising their garden centre. But in that bag, what we is this stuff: Miracle Grow Organic Pump and Feed. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? Any good? What's your thoughts on that stuff? Any thoughts? Digwell says only 360 tickets for Garden Press event visitors. They restricted it. I didn't know that, but hey, I go every year, so I'll be very surprised if they've restricted it. Zoe, busy editing a video. No worries, no worries. So, has anybody had any experience of using Miracle Organic Pump and Food? This is food for all plants, indoor and outdoors. No mixing, no measuring, just one simple pump of this stuff. You add it in, wait, you shake it up, You pump it into your watering can, you add it to your water, and then it mixes up, and that's meant to be quite easy to use. I like the idea of it. Do like the idea of it. I think that's a good item for, well, for quickly and easily measuring out any plant feed that you need. Is it accurate? I don't know. Is it any good? I don't know. I will admit the Miracle Grow label does worry me slightly. I don't know what it is about Miracle Grow, but there's something that it isn't as good to me. I don't know what it is about Miracle Grow, but I love your thoughts on that. What has been said? Nigel says, British Garden Centre, the bag is good quality plus Digwell informs me they got rid of the Cumberland sausages from their breakfasts. Yeah, the bag is actually good quality. It's a good solid bag, going to last a while, that one. And then got this book as well. Well, they say, Make It Bloom with British Garden Centres is here to inspire and support every gardener. Green Fingers charity they mentioned, Spring Gardening Bingo, and they're basically just publicising all their garden centres. Pretty standard stuff, to be honest. Pretty standard stuff. So, what have we got? I haven't been to the British Garden Centre for breakfast, so I don't know on that. Late but hello all, says Ballycillian. Digwell says, tell British Garden Centres about the horrible Cumberland sausages. They changed them and they were normal last Friday. There you go. There you go. I saw that in your video, actually. Rebecca says, never used it, but it does seem like it would be easy to use. I hate having to measure things out all the time. I always get bored and just tip it in the end. I'm with you on that, actually. I do like the idea of just pump it in and off you go. I think that does make life quicker. Especially I do get annoyed with measuring out our plant food at the same time. So yeah, I like that aspect of it. And I've seen this on a few others. So it seems to be something that's going to come up more and more often, this sort of pump action fertilizer for our feeds. As opposed to, I haven't got any other examples, but I think it is going to be a good idea. So, as for whether it works or not, that's something we will find out in time. Anna Jones says, depends on how much it costs compared to ordinary Miracle Grow. Good question. Good question. And Turbo Stream says that bag is a bit empty. It is promotional items. It is promotional items, so we've got to be fair. Now, let's move on to this little bag here. It's Frank P. Matthews. As you know, I'm after a particular tree from Frank P. Matthews, so I was hoping to get something or do something with them. But I've got an open day coming up, which I'm going to try and attend. But also honey and a honey spoon, which that's quite nice. That is very nice. I like honey. As you know, I like honey a lot. But also their open day thing. Okay. Probably not really anything that might interest you, but honey is always good in my eyes. We'll figure that out another day. What have we got? Chili Kate says, hi everyone, sorry I'm late, just doing a bit of work ready for the working week ahead. I know that feeling. Let's move on to one of our other bags, because I felt that Frank P. Matthews one wasn't very much I could really talk to you about. Treasure Gardening bag, another bag, and I don't think we've got anything in here. Got some seeds, wildflower mix seeds. These seem to be doing or going all over the place. I don't really grow that much in the way of wildflowers, but wildflowers seem to be very, very popular lately as a way of encouraging people to grow wildflowers. They're featuring a lot in promotional items. Are they a good thing or a bad thing? Do you grow wildflowers? And what do you think of growing wildflowers? I think it's nice in certain areas, perhaps on an allotment, to have a bit of wildflowers, but wildflowers, the misconception with wildflowers, I think, is when people think that you can just sow wildflowers and leave them to it. But if you want to have a wildflower garden, they do need a lot of management. They do need some proper time and care put in to manage them. They have a long-term effect when it comes to wildflowers. They can take 3 years to really become or get that full effect. Don't let that put you off. It's just the reality of growing wildflowers is not what everybody said or what they're sort of broadcast as in the media. And do you think they're generally sold as something being easy to look after? What's your thoughts on wildflowers? Let me know in the comments. Rob says, good evening all. Been starting to transplant some tomatoes. Crikey, you off early with your tomatoes. That's not a bad thing, though. Not a bad thing at all. Let's go on to another bag. This is, got 2 bags here. There's going to be a lot of bags coming out today, but this is one I'm particularly interested in because this is a bag of these things. Do you know what they are? If you can tell me what they are, there's 10 points. Obviously, and I've got a whole bag of them just in here. They're going to need planting very, very soon, looking at those. Any idea what they could be? Any idea what they are? If you get it right, 10 points. You can have 10 points. What have we got? Digwell says, it all depends on the wildflowers too. We plant a California mix in Scotland, for example. Yeah, wildflowers. This is actually a really good point. Wildflowers are great. They've got a great purpose behind it, but they're not as easy as people are being led to believe. They take quite a bit of care to get right. And for me, the trouble I have with them is they're often being touted as something that people can just throw down and leave to do their own thing. They're not. They're hard work. Digwell says, first week of April for my tomato sowings. Absolutely. Turbo Stream says, looks like something Roxy might leave behind. No, not so short. Rob says, we're going to have a cracking summer, so need to be ready. Digwell says, why? Stuart says, wildflowers are harder than you think to grow. Prepare the ground well, then repeat and repeat year on year to build your meadow over a few years. Yeah, absolutely. Bloody autocorrect. Right with you. What did he originally say? Oh, I don't know. Anna Jones says, well-behaved wildflowers are lovely, but some can end up as weeds that you may never get rid of. Yeah, again, I agree with that. They're hard work. They're not as easy as they're often sold to be, is my point. Tuber, cassava. Good guess, says Kate, but it's not that. Dickwell says, Turbo Stream beat me to it. Nope. So they are new from Thompson and Morgan. Those are Jerusalem artichokes. Now, otherwise known as fartichokes. Now, I used to grow a lot of Jerusalem artichokes. They were a rather easy to grow, delicious plant, but they do have that effect that they do make you pass wind a lot. But one of the other problems I've had is that the plants, which are closely related to sunflowers, they did grow very, very, very tall. So that left, I basically ended up getting rid of my Jerusalem artichokes. It took a while because they are quite invasive. But those ones, they are dwarf Jerusalem artichokes from Thompson and Morgan. So the plants themselves only grow to about 80 centimeters tall, which I think is much more manageable. I still like the full-size ones. They do look rather pretty. They're closely related to sunflowers, but these ones are dwarf ones, so you could grow them in a pot. You could grow them where you might have height restrictions, and I think they're just going to be a bit easier to maintain as well. So, yeah, Jerusalem artichokes, dwarf Jerusalem artichokes. Does that appeal to anybody? Digwell says, why plant a California mix in Scotland, for example? Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Why right plants for the right place at the end of the day? Kate says, Jerusalem artichoke, you got it right. And Turbo Stream says, I sowed some wildflowers. Most got oxeye daisy, which are now self-sowing everywhere like weeds. Yeah. Absolutely. Digwell says, new. What variety are they then? I cannot remember the name of them off the top of my head, rather stupidly. I just remember saying, I remember reading they were new. Actually, it did come with their book, so I could quickly look it up and tell you while I'm here. What have we got? Because they've got new tomato. They're quite interesting. They've got tomato melt away, which is meant to be really tasty. Melon honey drops as a new one. A lot of what do you call it? A lot of mushrooms. And the dwarf Jerusalem artichoke is called Small Wonder. So there you go, Small Wonder, 80 centimeters tall, which is pretty damn good if you ask me. Pretty damn good. Kate said, oh God, the last thing I need is more wind being on the Manjaro now. It's like the North Sea. Excellent. More like a thistle than a sunflower, says Digwell. I don't know if thistles are related to sunflower, but I take your point. I mean, thistles are more like globe artichokes as opposed to Jerusalem artichokes, I would say, though. Jerusalem artichokes being the really tall ones that you eat the tubers in the ground. Globe artichokes are the architectural ones. That's what I would say there. What's in this bag? What's in this bag? Ah, right. Yes, I remember now. Some seeds, because you know we always need more seeds. This came from Dobby's. We got some spinach, perpetual leaf. I mean, I've got so much spinach, I'm not sure I need any more. Carrot Nantes 2 and pea Calvindon Wonder. I can't really say anything special about those. They're from Dobby's. I'm going to grow them. Don't get me wrong. Going to grow them. Why not? But anything I would say about those. I don't know. Has anybody been to a Dobby's lately? Oh, I haven't been to our local one for a very long time. One I used to go in all the time. But there's big things that they've put a really good supermarket inside it, which, as you know, really, really makes me rather annoyed. What have we got? Let's go through another one, another bag, because I felt those seeds didn't really have much to talk about on those. Westlands bag. Now, again, another company that a lot of people can be very against, Westlands. They're there every year, but they always have some interesting products coming out. One of the things that a Lobman Cooks over on Instagram says, woohoo, artichokes. Yeah, Westlands, one of their ranges, they own the Kenton Stowe range as well. And they had this, what's it called? Hosepipe reel, which I quite liked the look of. And one of the key things that I really liked is that when you wind it up, it has a adapter that actually spins, so the hosepipe doesn't get completely ruined through that. My one here, I have here at home, does get ruined when I wind it up. So yeah. Nigel says Waitrose has vanished from my Dobbies. They might be putting another one in, or a different one in. Keep a close eye on it. Dobbies, says Digwell, won't go into one after they did the nasty on my friend's fish shop. Oh, didn't know that, but tell us more. Tell us a story. Stuart says Dobbies have now kicked the supermarket to touch and opening their own food hall. That's my understanding as well. They're opening they're opening their own food hall. Allotment Cook says they wouldn't let me take that. I tried. Oh, what, the hose pipe? It was a good hose pipe, very good hose pipe. Tybo Stream says no dobbies near me, so no idea. I took a drive to one and was dissatisfied. What was you dissatisfied about with it? Anyway, back to Westlands. So Kenton Stowe gloves. The gloves at the end of the day, I mean, they're always handy. These are the rubber ones, so they're quite good for seed sowing and things like that, dealing with chemicals, I guess. Good for grip as well, if you want some grip. I'm not quite sure the thorn protection is good on these. And then these ones as well, also Kenton Stowe. Again, got some decorative floral edge to them, which might appeal to some people, might appeal to you. Not normally my type of thing, but I can see the appeal for it. What else have we got in here? So this was something we had a conversation with them about. Another part of their thing is unwins. So load of seeds in here. I told you there's going to be a lot of seeds to go through tonight. Houseplant Bird of Paradise seeds. We got, what else have we got? Another houseplant, Zimula. The mandarin plant. We've got polka dot plant. Interesting. Eucalyptus baby blue. Asparagus fern. Decondra silver surfer. And the Sempervarium, the succulent mix. One of the things that, was it this lot? No, it's not. I'll save that for another conversation, what I was about to say there. But yeah, I mean, seeds, I can't say there's anything good about that. Westlands lawn grass seed, this seems to be a common thing. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with lawn seed, but you know, it's meant to be good nonetheless. And what else have we got here? Bug control spray for houseplants. So I get the impression they're going all in on the houseplant side of things, which there seems to be a growing market for houseplants. A lot more people seem to be interested in growing houseplants. So I don't know. Perhaps that's for you. Perhaps it's not. What do you think? What do you think on that? What have we got? What have we got? Digwell says they took over the garden centre site and tripled the rent on his koi shop. He went out of business. Oh, so that's when they did the dirty on the fish shop. Sorry to hear that. Ladies' gloves, yeah. It is a bit like they are ladies' gloves, those ones, aren't they? But my wife will use them, no doubt. No doubt. Turbo Stream says, Dubby's piss poor plant selection. Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've been in the Dobbies, I'll be honest. As I'm not travelling around as much, I tend to only go to the local ones, but interested in your thoughts on Dobbies. Nicola, evening Richard and all, when will the weather turn so nasty out? We've had a great weekend here in terms of weather. Nice and dry and sunny. It's been great. It's been great. Grow it in trays for the chickens, Richard. Grow what in trays for the chickens? The grass. Digwell says, use the last lawn seed to repair the grass on the plot. That's an idea, isn't it? Yeah, that is an idea. You can certainly do that. Especially when Roxy digs up the grass. That's a very good plan there. Allotment Cooks, no such thing as houseplants, just plants we forced to live in our houses and they'd rather be in tropical paradise. Yeah, good point. It is true, isn't it? They're just plants that need a bit more protection than being outside, these houseplants. But at the end of the day, if that's the only place people have to grow stuff, then so be it. Let them grow and make the most of it. Now, this was one that somebody mentioned last week that they found quite interesting when I was talking to, when I mentioned the garden press event. Liquid fish blood and bone plant feed. Now, this sounds like a very, very interesting idea that I'm not sure how it's going to work out, but blood, fish, and bone is something we often add to our veg beds. Very good plant fertilizer, very good plant food. But normally we get it in a sort of granular form that we sprinkle over a slow release fertilizer. So in liquid form, I'm expecting that we're going to get all the benefits of fish, blood, and bone, but quicker for the plants to take up. What do you think on that? Does that sound interesting to you? Is there anything on that you find interesting? What's interesting, the NPK is 1-1-1, so it's a very, very balanced fertilizer. Has anybody tried liquid blood, fish, and bone, or has anybody thought about using blood, fish, and bone in liquid form? Diggle says, how many gloves do you need? Lots. I do go through lots of gloves, but that's very different reasons. Allotment Cook says, totally, but only if you can eat them. So, yeah, I'm trying to remember what that was about now. Liquid fish, blood, and bone should stop the foxes digging up the beds. That was also one of my ideas or my thoughts about this. Having this in liquid form should stop the foxes or anything else digging up the beds in the search for blood, fish, and bone, what they think is buried in the soil. I actually do agree. I think that is something that could have a good benefit. I'm expecting it to be quicker as well. But what's your thoughts? What do you think on that? Has anybody tried it yet? Let me know. Edible houseplants for the win, says Allotment Cooks. Yeah, edible houseplants, ginger, turmeric, cardamoms. Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for edible houseplants. That's just to name a few that I can think of. Vanilla orchid that I've got downstairs. Lots of options when it comes to edible houseplants. Nigel says, not tried my liquid blood, fish, and bone yet. Should give an even distribution in scattering it. That's my thoughts as well. It's really quite an interesting product, isn't it, this one? I can tell with some of you. So, blood, fish, and bone. How many of you use? I mean, they've got this listed: fish, blood, and bone for some weird reason. How many of you use it? How many of you use it in its standard form? Let me know. Let me know, indeed. Ian says, evening, Richard and all. Good evening to you. Turbo Stream says, I used blood meal last year. No wonder my beds were dug up. Exactly right there. It is why. Digler says, creation is the reseller of fish blood and bone. It is made by Biocore. Yeah. But yeah, has anybody thought about? I mean, as I said, blood, fish, and bone is probably something we all use quite regularly. But have you ever thought that in liquid form? Nicholas says, I will put chicken bone in a blend with water and then pot on the veg beds. Yeah, could work. I don't know enough about the science behind it, but let me know how it works out for you. Not sure, Allotment Cook says, about the 1-1-1 on the NPK. Yeah, it's balanced. It's very, very balanced, isn't it? So quite weak. Digwa says, no one uses a liquid. It is new on the market. Yeah, exactly. It is new on the market. And will it work? Will it work? I mean, this is a good question. I thought this might get everyone talking. It seems to really have got you guys going in a good way. Ian says, I use fish blood and bone. I water it in as dogs and foxes love it. So this is the idea behind this liquid one. It's in liquid form. So in theory, they shouldn't dig it up. They shouldn't love it as much because it's already in liquid form. Stuart, I use blood, fish, and bone every year. Nicola, I've been doing it for years. It works well. Fantastic. And TurboStream says, I do use blood, fish, and bone. I use it in the planting hole to hopefully stop the plants getting dug up. Yeah. And Digler says 1:1:1 is a good ratio for slow feeds. Yeah. Good point. Slow feeds. It's balanced, isn't it? Very balanced. Amanda, evening all. Sorry I'm late. I hope I haven't missed all the press event chat. Still going through it. Nigel says, tend to use my blood, fish, and bone in my final potting on mix. Excellent. And Ian says, does it still smell? Should we find out? Should we open it up here and see if it smells? Probably not a good test for me because my sense of smell is not very strong. Oh, yeah, it still smells. It's not pleasant at all. That's grim. That was very grim. Anna Jones says, couldn't bring myself to use it, being a vegetarian, but I liked the look of liquid seaweed by the same company in Digwell's video. Yeah, liquid seaweed. So I use liquid seaweed quite a bit, but that is a good one as well. Always good to have liquid seaweed. Thumbs up all. Grow More is balanced. Also 777. That's exactly what my mind was going. I thought Grow More 777, and this is 111. What's the difference? It seems like the same quantities, but what's the difference? Ian says, yeah, Kate's laughing. Yeah, that was bad. Whoever suggested that, I can still smell it. It's grim. It's very, very grim. Andrew Norris, evening, Richard on the Veg Army. Glad to be here, if a little late. Never mind, you are here. We've just been talking about this product, fish blood and bone in liquid form, which, I use fish blood and bone for lots of things, and Ian says, sorry for making me smell it. Excellent. Digma says, read the label. Do not water the foliage of edibles. Do not eat the veg for 21 days. Once open, allow it to breathe before using. Not sure how I will use it. Yeah, I haven't actually read the label, so thank you for all that. It's avoid contact with eyes. Do not ingest or drink. Yeah, interesting. It makes you question whether that's going to be suitable on our vegetables when you read warnings like that, isn't it? Interesting. The NPK numbers are percentages. Yeah, I thought that it was a balance, isn't it? A ratio of how much is in each. God, that stuff stinks. I'm going to move on. He says reaching down. So a few interesting ones here to go through in terms of seeds. Did warn you there's going to be lots of seeds, didn't I? So these ones came from Blue Diamond, another chain of garden centres, and they're bringing out their own sort of packaged seeds, and called the Gourmet Gardener. And so we got a winter squash, vegetable spaghetti squash. We've got a red giant celery, and we've got parsnip gladiator. But what's different about these, and I think this has been going a couple of years now, is that instead of it being about the plants, it's about the recipes that you can cook with it. So you got, I think that's a parsnip soup on the picture of that. That looks like a walled-off salad, and some sort of squash, mashed squash or something. So they're going more for what you can do with the vegetables as opposed to the vegetables itself, trying to make them into more of a gourmet cooking experience, eating experience, which I don't think is a bad thing at all. Certainly something we need to think more of when we are growing our food is how we're going to use it. One of the big rules I always say is we only grow what we're going to eat. Over on Instagram, Thompson Little Home Sweet Home has joined. Welcome along. Lovely to see you. Jamie has also joined. Evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Ian says, does it say don't smell it? It doesn't say that I've read, but yeah. Idaho has joined. Says, hello. Hello, Idaho. Hope you are well. What have we got? Kate says, so no good as a plug-in air freshener. Said then, no, it is grim. It is grim. Rob says, I was going to use it as a top dressing before planting. That probably would work as a top dressing before planting. That's not a bad idea. What have we got? What else have we got? Premier Seeds Direct. As you know, I use Premier Seeds Direct quite a bit, and I've got quite a good relationship with them. But what they've done, they've got these new ranges that have came out. Some which you know of, the Charles Downing range, which mixed reactions to that. But they've also got these rather distinctive vegetable seeds. So like we've got cauliflower multi-headed F1 on sweet corn Miri Gold. So the cauliflower, particularly interesting, I find, because it grows several different heads of cauliflower. So you can get more from one plant, which is something I really quite like. How well it grows is something we're going to find out. It's actually our seed of the month over on the podcast. But the multi-headed idea just seems like a really, really good idea. And they've got a lot of these sort of new, interesting vegetables like that coming out this year that are out. And just something that just makes things a little bit more interesting. I remember a couple of years ago, they brought out the Dragon's Egg cucumber, which was absolutely delicious and perfect for growing as a delicious cucumber. So, yeah, some good ideas there. Lubbock Cooks, dinner time. See you soon. Lovely. You take care, Jane. I'll catch up with you soon. Stuart says, has anyone else noticed that the price of seeds have gone up more than normal? Normally, I only spend around £40 a year. This week, it cost me £55 for the same amount. Everything's going up. Everything's going up, I'm afraid to say. That's why I'm taking great care with the seeds that we do have. Digler says, what did Premier say to you about the CD range? I didn't talk much about it. I didn't concentrate on it. I kind of glossed over it, shall we say. Why did they say something to you about it? But I got sort of glossed over the Charles Downing range. What have we got? What else have we got? This is an interesting thing as well. Garden compost from Field Peat Free. I don't know if anybody else is having the same sort of trouble with peat-free compost, where it's just not as good as peat-based compost. And I say that as I have moved completely onto peat-free compost, but I will say it's not as good as peat-based compost. This stuff looks lovely. I've got to say, it does look lovely. It's very fine. It feels beautiful and soft. But would it be as good as peat-based compost? I suspect there's going to be a lot of debate on this, and we're open to debate here. Ian says, compost in Helios is ridiculously expensive. It's everywhere. It's expensive these days. Unless you go to a supermarket or somewhere like that, compost is expensive. But like I say, a lot of it is you pay for what you get. You do pay for what you get. If you want a good quality compost, you do have to pay for it. But peat-free compost, as much as I only use peat-free compost, it's not got the same sort of consistency as peat-based compost. I'll not discuss what they said on a public forum. Okay, fair enough. Do you want to send it to me in private then, and I'll love to hear. They sent me shed loads of seeds to grow and sell for charity. Yep, they're very good Premier seeds like that. Very good indeed. Phil, the managing director, the boss, really lovely bloke. I've met him quite a few times. I have a good relationship with Premier Seeds, and as you know, I do like Premier Seeds for their seeds. I think their prices are very good. I mean, you get 20 sweet corn seeds in that pack, which that's probably under £1.50, which is pretty good price considering. I don't know if there's any prices on any of these, but in this one, you got 8 tomato seeds from King Seeds, and that's probably £4 to buy. So I'm a big fan of Premier Seeds for that reason. Indeed. What else did I get? Now, this isn't something I would normally wear, but this hat, which fits on my head quite nicely. You're probably wondering what this has got to do with. And what it was there was this robotic lawnmower. Has anybody got a robotic lawnmower? So these robotic lawnmowers, I don't normally stop off and look at these sort of things because they're completely unrelated to everything that I do. But when I walked past this one, the robotic lawnmowers, they looked like racing cars, which sort of caught my eye. So I had to go and have a chat. And I think that's kind of where this hat is also inspired from. It does look a bit like it is a racing car inspired hat. But I haven't got a photo to show you. But they for me, I really did like the look of them. Now, obviously, how it looks and how it performs are two different things, but it was just like eye-catching. If you're into your motor racing, then that's probably a great idea to get a robotic lawnmower that looks like an F1 sports car. Nigel says, are both seed packets F1? The cauliflower is, but the sweet corn isn't listed as being F1. So I don't know. JJ's joined. Evening. Sorry I didn't get down to the press event this year. You were missed. Digwell says 50 F1 Rising Sun corn seeds for £1.39. Yeah, these are Morari Gold, those ones. But yeah, I mean, 50 sweet corn from Premier Seeds, £1.39. It's a bloody good price. I can't think of anywhere else where you would get that many seeds for that cheap price. This is why I love Premier Seeds Direct. And if you go via my website, I do have an affiliate link as well. So please do go check that out. Right, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We will go quickly to our cook-along. Because I've left a bag downstairs. So we'll go to a cook-along and then we'll come back and carry on this conversation. Okay, so for this week's cook-along, you want me to make some garlic butter. Really easy one to do this, one that anybody can make. Let me show you how I've done it. So first of all, we have got some butter here, which I've already softened. This is just something I like to do because well, it just makes it easier. And what we're going to do, of course, garlic. 3 cloves of garlic into a garlic press. And we're just going to squeeze that. Let me get this into where you can see what's going on a bit better. Straight into that butter. We'll just cut off what's left and add that in. And then we need some parsley, so fresh parsley from the garden. Just going to chop it up roughly. Smell of this parsley is absolutely amazing. Nicely chopped up. And we're just going to add that in as well. That might be a little bit too much parsley, but I don't mind that. Oh, we then do give us a bit of a stir. Make sure that garlic is all separated around nicely. Give it a good mix. And then we leave it to cool, and then we'll put it on some bread back in the studio. So here I am back in the studio. As you can see, this is my garlic butter that has had a good opportunity to cool down now. Of course, I always use real butter. And we're just going to spread that onto a bit of toast. Like so. Toast should probably be warmer, but let's see how garlicky this garlic type butter is. That garlic is lovely. Best of all, it's got rid of that smell of that blood, fish and bone liquid. But that's really that is absolutely lovely. Really, really, really nice. Easy to make. It can be frozen as well. So really love our homemade garlic butter. And if you're looking to make your own garlic bread, that's all you got to do. Really, really easy. Yep, that's a definite 9.5 out of 10. Love it. Love it. Turbo Stream says, I buy some seeds from Kings via our allotment. The prices are much cheaper than retail customers. Yeah, they do some good deals with through the allotment. If you've got an allotment shop, they can get some really good deals. John JJ says, did a seed haul from the range. They have the Wilco line. Very cheap, but might not be the best. But time will tell. I was in the range yesterday, funny enough, and I saw they were still selling Wilco seeds. And it got me wondering, how long has it been since Wilco's went out of business? A couple of years now. How good are those seeds still going to be? Are they still viable seeds, particularly things like carrots and parsnips that are usually only good for a year? It got me questioning just how good those seeds were. That's all I'm going to say. So, JJ, I'll be interested to know how yours get on. Rob says, I got a robotic lawnmower. My wife. What we got? Digwell says, they do an allotment scheme with big discounts. Sadly, there are too few of us on my site to take advantage. Chatted with them, but they wanted £100 minimum spend. Shame. Ian says wild garlic leaves are about now. Yep, we got the tri-cornered leeks popping up in my garden all over the space, all over the place. But yeah, good alternative if you did want something different. Digwell says pop the melted garlic butter into ice cube trays, easier to use later on. That is an option. Something else I often do is put it or turn it into like a tube in baking paper, and then let it cool down, then cut it like a Toblerone. So when you just need it, you just snap bits off. Bit harder to do, but the ice cube trick is a quicker way. Anna Jones says you can't beat a cylinder lawnmower for a good cut. I wouldn't want a robot mower. Interesting. And Digwell says, JJ, buy from places like Real Seeds as they fail as well. Believe me, don't mention Zabroom shallots. Don't mention Zabroom shallots, everybody. Don't mention it. Just don't mention Zabroom shallots. Okay? Don't mention it. Nicholas says, I sowed some French marigold seeds in a week. In week already, though. I bought in Wilco sale before they closed for 5p a packet. I have 20 packets. Excellent. Turbo Stream says the range bought the Wilco brand, I think, so the seeds would be fresh, not old stock. I don't know. I thought they brought their old stock. They did buy the brand, but I thought they would have brought their old stock. So I don't know. I don't know, but I think it's old stock. Amanda says, I made cheese scones this afternoon. That butter would be lovely on top. Garlic butter on top of a cheese scone. That's great. That is absolutely great. So, moving on with the garden press hauls. So, for the girls, their seed packets. They've designed these. Obviously, for the girls, you often find it in places like Tesco's or your supermarket. So, they've made these so simple range. And what they say is basically you're just wandering around, you can see it's a radish. That's all you need to know. The varieties and all the other details are on the back, but from the front, they're just making it, you want a radish, you buy a radish plant. It's nice and simple. It's a touch I quite like. I'm not sure it'd be for everybody, but it is a touch I quite like. When you're buying seeds from your supermarket, from wherever, do you worry about the varieties or do you just buy what you want? Kate says, which shallots? I think it was Zabroon shallots, but don't mention it. Don't mention it at all. Shallots says Turbo Stream. And Digwell says 2 years on the trot, 100% failed germination. Nigel says Zabroon shallots. My sowing have failed 3 years on the run. Just sent for Keynes as a full tati. I can't work out that last words, but Zabroon shallots. We're not allowed to mention this as the Zabroon shallots, so don't mention it. Rob says, I think a lot of people are having trouble with Zabroon again this year. Interesting. There's problems. For the girls, same parent company as DT Brown. Yeah, same as, who is it? Suttons and Thompson and Morgan and one other. They're all working. They're all owned by the same people these days, which is a shame. I'm still working my way through the Veg Grower podcast selection, says Turbo Stream. There's lots of seeds every month. Ian says, as a person that cuts grass for a living, I now have one client that has a robot mower for the back lawn. I must say it cuts very well and can cut very low. But it can't do edges low. I've got to admit, I'm one of these sad people. I actually enjoy cutting the grass. It's one of those tasks that I really do quite enjoy. And I don't think I would ever get a robotic lawnmower. I quite like getting a lawnmower. It doesn't take long to cut the grass, as long as you keep on top of it, of course. I find once a week is good enough. But yeah, I quite enjoy cutting grass, so I don't think I would ever get a robotic lawnmower. Dobbies or Doobies, the single bee is with Suttons and Thompson Morgan. Yeah, they're all much of the same. All much of the same. More proof that all seeds come from the same farm in Turkey. Yeah. And failed shallots, that's your shallot. Excellent. Anybody got anything? Anybody having any success stories so far this year? Anyway, now this is going to be a controversial one because I went up and chatted to Pelsis, who well, I'll explain why I find them a little bit controversial, because they haven't given me any, thankfully, but they do a lot of poisons, shall we say, rat poison and killer, that sort of thing. And as you know, I don't like using poisons for anything, but they are branching out from what I can gather. They've got this little bottle of tomato feed. I mean, that's not going to last very long, but it's tomato feed nonetheless. They say 50% more tomatoes. I mean, what can you say? And they've also included some tomato seeds, which I don't know what tomato seeds they are. But again, Tomato feed. I mean, tomato feed is probably one of those things that everybody uses. Do you have a particular favorite tomato feed that you use or that you have to buy every year that you find does better than any of the others? I find them all much of the same. So I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on that discussion. What tomato feeds do you use and why? Whose do you find to be the best? So Stuart says, I look for variety before the cost. I have customers that ask for variety, so I grow what they want for my own garden. I try to buy what grows well in my ground. Fair enough. Fair enough. Talking about the seed varieties I mentioned earlier. What else have we got? Digwell says, yes, you are a very sad person because I like cutting the grass. I'm sorry, but I do like it. Nicholas says, I have 2 ponies. They cut it, so it's about 1 centimetre long. Well, it's not a robotic lawnmower, but it's an easy way to cut the grass at the end of the day. Ian says, the lawn this Rob. The lawn this Rob. I'm not sure what he means there. Digwell says, of course I check the plant varieties. Not all radishes taste the same. I'm with you. I am with you. And that's just an example of some of the seeds that they do. The way I'm with you because I always check what varieties I'm growing and what type I'm growing and so on. The way they're selling it is that if you go in a supermarket like Tesco's, chances are people buying plant seeds from a supermarket are not likely to be too worried about what varieties they're growing. This is what they said. I'm not saying I agree with it, but this is what they said. So therefore, they're just going to want a radish that is a radish. But I'm with you. They all taste different. The lawn back and front would take me 2 hours every 2 weeks, so it does save time. Absolutely. Liquid comfrey for tomatoes, says Nigel, is what he uses. Kate says, I'm creating more beds in my garden, reducing the lawn size. More non-edibles too for pollinators, but my lawn gets frequent mole visitors anyway. Well, frequent moles, that tells you've got good soil, so it's a good thing. Turbo Stream says, my lawn takes about 3 minutes to cut. It's hardly any. And Digwell says, it says money maker on big letters, on the doff from... Oh, yeah, so it does. Moneymaker. I've just seen it. Sorry, it is Moneymaker. Should have gone to Specsavers. Yes, I should have gone to Specsavers. It's because I'm rushing as always. A bit like putting sweets by the checkouts. Yeah, bit like putting sweets by the checkouts with these seeds. They're putting them in places where people are probably not going to worry too much. That's how they sold it. I'm not saying I agree, but that's how they were explaining it to me. Now, Solvitia. This is a new company that, well, I've never seen them before anyway, and you might well have done. And what have we got here? So this is all about supercharging your soil's microbiome. And these are natural pellets packed with a dynamic mix of beneficial fungi and essential nutrients. So you add this onto your soil, and it does feel like there are pellets in here. Let's open them up. Obviously, this it says fungi, so mushrooms, which could be allergic for me, but I think I'm okay touching it. These are the pellets. Fairly standard things. You add them to the soil, and they look after the soil, and they feed the soil with all the goodness that are meant to come from these. We all know fungi is good. We all know that fungi is good in the soil. It helps a lot of people, helps with the gardening anyway. So they're utilising on that. Is that a good thing or a bad thing in your opinion? Is it something you would buy? What do you think? Solid Vita, great wallpaper paste for you oldies. Way before my time. I was expecting wallpaper paste. Sorry. Before my time, so I have no idea what you guys are talking about there. Obviously, it was a brand of wallpaper. Now, where's my big pot gone? I had a big box here or something. Where's that gone? What do they smell like? Sorry. Toby says, what do they smell like? Well, I got a whiff of them and they didn't smell bad at all, not like the bloodfish and bone. That was disgusting. So, what to say? Stuart says, how does it work? Everyone's soul is different, just being devil's advocate. Soil is different, just being devil's advocate. So I think it just dissolves like plant feeds and everything else. It just dissolves into the soil and builds the nutrients up and things like that, or like live feeds the soil, adds those macronutrients, probably some sort of fungi spores in there. I don't know the details, but it is an interesting question. Digwell says, I know a stand-up comedian. He's a real fun guy. Oh, here comes the jokes, of course. Tarot Stream says, the bloke hanging from a helicopter in a white suit glued to a big board. I remember that now. I do remember that advert, the crazy guy. Yeah, I do remember that advert, talking of that. Feed the soil. Feed to the soil, not to the plant. Yeah, so, yeah, it feeds the soil, not the plants. And this is a key thing that we've got to talk about more, is that we're feeding the soil, not the plants. Over on Instagram, Field Compost has joined. I think we mentioned those before. Now, this big tub I was carrying around all day in my backpack. It's called Gravel Hold. Now, this is an interesting one, I thought, because they sort of collared me as I walked past them, and I wasn't going to talk to them, but they collared me and ended up being a bit intrigued with it. So it's basically a gravel glue. So if you've got a gravel drive, don't have a gravel drive anymore because I had my driveway done a couple of, last year, as you know, had my driveway redone. We got resin drive. But if you had a gravel drive, there's nothing more annoying than when you walk along it and all the stones and everything get kicked off and then you have to replace them. This basically glues the gravel into place. A bit like resin, in all honesty, is my first thought. It's a bit like resin, but this glues all the gravel into place, and therefore it still allows the water to escape, but therefore it doesn't get moved off anywhere. It's quite a big thing. You add this to water when you're putting it onto your gravel, and it just literally acts as a glue to hold it all together. But it's still permeable, it says. It is basically a resin binder. It is a resin binder that you could buy this, I think, from a garden centre eventually. I don't know how much, but is that something you would use? Now, for me, I'm sort of thinking that in my greenhouse, I put in gravel borders because we use the auto pots, and actually that would probably work quite well at holding that gravel into place. And the same on other places that we could use it too. Nicholas says, Richard, don't put fingers near mouth, wash hands as soon as, no more garlic bread on the QT or in video or slideshow running. Don't worry, I had already thought of that. I'm being very, very careful. Turbo Stream says, I'm too old and the soul was better. Digger says, what the heck were you carrying stuff around? I got them all to post it to me. Yeah, I didn't. Nigel says, gravel drives, burglars hate them. Yeah, it's true. It's true. One of the advantages of gravel drive is that burglars do hate them. Turbo Stream says, I'm a slab man guy myself, and Venetian blinds. Burglars hate Venetian blinds. Yeah. Nigel says, put one of those 20 pairs of gloves on. Yeah, I've got quite a few pairs of gloves. Have you not noticed? But this stuff did interest me, actually, because I can see a few projects where this might come into use. I wasn't going to talk to them because I didn't feel I'm quite the right person to talk to about that. But it did interest me at the same time after talking to them. And as I said, I'm doing this in my greenhouse where I do have gravel beds. That might come into use. And outside my greenhouse, I'm going to put some gravel underneath my cold frames where I'll harden off my plants. That again might come into use for that. Is that the type of thing you would use? Have you ever thought about gluing your gravel into place so it still remains permeable but doesn't move all over the place? Right, I'm going to go to this week's mission because time is very quickly getting away from me. Well, for this week's mission, you want me to show you 2 ways of preserving herbs based on the back of last week's conversation. I've already made some garlic butter, which is one way of preserving herbs, but I've got 2 more ways. So first thing I want to show you is this. This is pesto. And this is basically preserving basil and garlic and parmesan in olive oil. It's absolutely delicious, goes great on pasta, and is something that we eat a lot of. Now, this is preserved in oil, but it's not generally a preservative. So quite a big bowl of this will last probably up to a week in the fridge, but we can freeze it as well to use at a later date, and that's probably what we would do with the rest of that. But the other way of preserving that I want to show you is dehydration. So this is some of our parsley. I've had this in my dehydrator on fairly warm temperature of about 50-60 degrees C overnight, and we've just dried all this parsley out. This is great because it makes a good way of really locking in some of that parsley flavour and making it good for keeping in the cupboard when you need it. You know, fresh parsley is always best, like most herbs. Always best to have good fresh herbs, but sometimes you just need some dried herbs. Now we've dried this. I've had to pick all the leaves off the stem to put it in a dehydrator, but we want to chop this up nice. So that's got all that parsley nicely chopped down. Could probably be chopped down more to make it even more level, but I think that is good enough. All we got to do now, store it in an airtight jar, and that will last for ages. So I've put that parsley into an airtight jar, as you can see now. That's quite a bit of parsley. I reckon that's probably a good 75p's worth if we were to buy that from a supermarket. I'm pretty happy with that. That'll keep us going for quite a while. Plus, it's just another way of making our own homegrown food last that little bit longer. Now, don't forget to set a mission for next week. Any ideas, just start off with #mission in the chat. And back to the studio. Indeed, #cook along for a recipe for next week. #mission for a mission, a challenge for next week. Now, Stuart says, are you trying to scare us with that mask behind you of Lee Connolly? No, I brought it as a joke. Believe it or not, there's a website actually selling celebrity gardeners masks, and that was one of them. Yeah, a bit of a joke, but it adds to it. Digwell says, did you know that the guy who invented Venetian blinds was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize? If not for him, it would be curtains for all of us. Dum, dum, dum. That's wrong tune, isn't it? I need it for my concrete drive as it's all breaking up. Don't think it's quite for concrete, but it's for gravel. But I don't know. Andrew says, I have to say, all these products for garden improvements, I'm sure our ancestors managed fine without all these gimmicky additions to improving our gardens. Is that a controversial opinion? No, it's not a controversial opinion, actually. It's a very, very valid opinion. And this is actually where we need to think a bit more about what do we really need all these products in our garden? Do we really need all this sort of stuff, or can we survive with the very basics? However, what I will say is that there are businesses that money makes the world go round, and if we're supporting businesses, we're supporting people in employment and so on. So there's good and bad, plus and negatives. Plus, there are certain things that I think do the job a bit better than what we used to use. But everyone's got their own opinion. I'd love to hear what people think. Do we need all these products or not? Now, on that note, this is the last one I'm going to be bringing up, and I've actually had some of this before. Monty Miracle. It's an outdoor cleaner which is designed for sort of cleaning on stone, tile, wood, furniture, pots, outdoors. It's basically a cleaner. It says it's fine once it's dry for pets to walk across, but it does at the same time have some danger signs about aquatic life and so on. So is it good or is it bad? I don't know. Would you be happy using that in your garden is the next question. Or like me, I tend to use just soapy water. What's your thoughts? Digwell says, parsley is one of those herbs that grows all around here for me. And from last week, I've moved my orange balm from my old plot to the new one. Orange balm. I forgot all about orange balm, and now you've just reminded me again. Stuart says, the gravel glue, please could you pot up a link? It sounds a great idea for my drive. Thank you. What's it called? It's Easy Scape Gravel Gold. I'm not sure. I will see if I can find it for you and put it in the group. You may have to remind me though. But I'll try and jog my memory, and I'll try and find the link for you and send it to you. But yeah. Cleaner chemicals. Is this something you would use in your allotment or in your garden? I'm not sure. And Nigel says, I would say it's bad as you still haven't used the one from last year. Yeah, exactly. It's because, in all honesty, I don't like to use any chemicals in my garden at all. So I'm a little against using chemicals, but chemicals are in everything, aren't they? Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm just very anti using chemicals. I even when I clean the greenhouse out on my tools, it's very much just sort of water is all I really use as a cleaning agent. Digwell says, many things there were just a new take on old ideas. At least 5 stands had liquid seaweed, for example. Last year, only 2 stands. Yeah, it's very much a case that happens every year. So I do go to this event pretty much every year, and I'm always looking for something innovative, something different, something that isn't out there, or something new. And pretty much there's very rare that we see anything innovative, anything new. The only item that I could say was new that I can think of was, well, actually a couple. The liquid blood fish and bone was one, but there was also a Haughty AI Chris. So it's an AI helper in the garden. It basically, you ask it questions, it gives you the answer. It's a bit new, but it's just new technology, thinking about it being used in the same way. But yeah, it's nothing new. There's very little new. I'm trying to think of other things that have been new, and I can't think of anything. Nigel says, plus at least one company was showcasing the same thing for the past 3 years. Yep, that happens every year with one particular company. They're always got the same thing on every year. So they weren't there this year. Stuart says, hashtag mission, show us how to prick out the seedlings as we are not all confident at doing it. Thanks. Trouble is, I sow all my seeds in plug plants, so I could do that. But it's on the board. The seal stop was great. Yes, so seal stop I have had on the podcast just before Christmas, and what they are, it's an attachment that attaches onto the end of a hose, and it acts as like a valve to stop your hose pipe when you pull it in your bucket or in your watering can. It stops the flow of water when your watering can is full. So that was something a bit innovative, actually. Yes, I forgot all about that. Something a bit different. Seal stop, good idea, good suggestion there. Nothing new from Melcott, 4 years now. They were a bit quiet when I asked how is the peat-free going. As we know, a lot of debate on peat-free. A lot of debate on peat-free. There was a company with a big product, 3 years old, exhibiting again. I think I know were they there this year? Were they there this year? Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. No seals here in Dursley. We're too inland, I think. Yeah, so it won't stop any seals coming to you there. Right, should we have a look at your photos quickly while we're on it? God, it's gone very, very quick this week. So what we got? First of all, Turbo, he sent in these photos of this load of vegetables that he's harvested. I've got to say, that looks fantastic. Some good parsnips, some good leeks, and some good Swedes as well. Fantastic. Moving on from that, he's also sent in the plot shot for March. As you know, I like to encourage everybody in the first of every month to take a plot shot of their allotment, their kitchen garden, and build up a sort of year's worth of how their allotment looked at the beginning of each year, which we put together at the end of the year. And this is his allotment. I think it looks fantastic, don't you? Now, Rob sent in a few photos of his loft garden. These look like onions to me, which look much better than my onions, I have to say. I'm guessing it's a bit warmer up there than it is in my shed. And this is his setup as well, with the grow lights, the plug plants, and so on. A lot of plants growing up in the loft. Fantastic. Now, Nicola has shared this photo from her farm of some of her raised beds. As you can see, it looks like a lot of onions going on there. Or is it garlic? Let us know. And also the kale, which I think looks great. I know somebody out there, at least one person, is not going to like the kale, but I think it looks great. Bonnie has got these salads and mustards growing in her greenhouse, and I think they're growing really well as well. This is down on the south coast near Brighton, so doing very well indeed. And her rhubarb has started springing into life as well. Here's some of the Beddoes humour, of course. When you go into the garden centre with your significant other, let's buy this plant. It's got such a pretty label. Beddoes humour at its finest. Now, Mr. Jackson has got some seed potatoes that is set chitting on the worktop. Now, do you chit or not? Question I'm going to ask you, chit or not? What do you think? Now, Kate has got a problem with bunnies. Well, I say a problem. I think it could be worked to her advantage. So she mulched over her beds going into the winter, but the bunnies have came along and they've been digging some holes for her. But I think that's perfect for planting out some of your plants when the time is right. They're just preparing the soil ready for you, ready to grow. Now, please do keep sharing your photos. You can post them in our Facebook group. You can send to me via social media, or you can email me, richard@theveggrowpodcast.co.uk. That's richard@theveggrowpodcast.co.uk. Let's bring this screen back over here. A few comments came in during that. What have we got? Digwa says, oh no, I read that one. Nigel says, yes, I think I know who you're talking about then. When I first saw them, I thought, interesting product, way overpriced for what it is. But what I will say is they've added things each year and I've chatted to them. They've adapted it each year, but yeah, the principal item is the same. If I'm thinking of the same person, Digwell says second peak free bill delayed until the 17th of April. Now Commons is not sitting on the 17th of April. So nice harvest, Turbo, says Nigel, and Idaho Turbo, good harvest and good plot shot. Digwell says yes, there is only so much dipping in the tank anyone can do. Idaho says, as I wish my setup looked as neat as yours. Yeah, don't we all? Nigel, Richard, video of your seedling / potting on update. Yeah, okay. I'm starting to move them out to the shed, so a little bit more going on at the moment. What have we got? I chipped my own saved seed spuds. Excellent. Digwell says, no photo from me again. I give in. That's because there was only one photo that I saw in the group. And that one, it was humorous, but when I put it on the screen, I didn't think the humor side of it was going to work. The crow would work on the size screen that you would see here. That's the only reason, Digwell. Only reason. That was the only photo I saw from you. Turbo Stream says, I was pleased with the parsnips. Excellent. And Nigel says, Little Dipper, but main product the same again. Yeah, with you. It was like a watering system, wasn't it? So like a sprinkling of the water, like a hose. What, like a watering can? Yeah, watering can. That's the main changes that they did this year. So far, I have seen a couple of missions come up. But we do need a cook along for next week as well. Yeah. What else was I going to say? So next week, I've got an idea of a topic that I thought you might want to discuss. And it's based on a reel I was watching earlier today, and it was arguing that we should not be feeding birds. And I want to hear your take on it, because I've always thought feeding birds was a good thing to do when they visit our garden. Don't answer this question now, your thoughts on it, but would you be happy having a bit of a discussion on whether or not to feed the birds in our garden next week? What do you think? Would that be something you're happy to discuss in next week? I know it's going to be a very split topic, but this reel that I saw actually got me thinking whether or not it was the right thing to do. If I can download and play that reel, I will, because it really did make me think anyway. But are you happy discussing that next week? Oh, lovely to have a bit of coffee to wet the whistle as we go. Now, one of the other things I want to mention, of course, we are into March now, which means spring is literally just around the corner, depending on when you say spring starts. For some people, they say the beginning of March is spring. Others would say the 20th of March. What's your thoughts? But here we are. The garden season really is kicking off, and I think this weekend has really paid off, because we have had some really, really good weather this weekend to really get going, and it's been lovely, hasn't it? It has been lovely going outside in the sun and just making the most out of it. Jamie says, whose reel was it? I can't remember who it was. I cannot remember who it was, but I would describe him as being a bit of a naturist, wildlife expert. But it really got me thinking. Digwell says, I have a comment about that for next week. So this is you've already got comments, which is good. So it feels like it's something we could discuss then. And Nicholas says, I was shocked when I saw the reel about birds. Interesting. Hargrave says, would that be enough for a week's chat? We'll mix it in with something else. It's not going to be the only subject, but I will mix it in with something else because the reason I'm tying this in is because I've always tried to encourage birds into my garden because I want them to eat the slugs, the snails, the pests, and so on. And it's got me thinking. Digwell says, died while Dwight Hooper, something in Welsh. I'm no good. It's the spring equinox for a reason. It's only the weathermen who prefer complete months for their stats. Yep, good point. We had a brief glimpse of spring, then the rain, cold, and wind was back. Yeah. But spring is just around the corner nonetheless. It's going to be a good time. Do you agree with the vid? Have it for your rant or rave? It's got me thinking. It has got me thinking. That's why it's not a rant or rave. But I haven't actually got I've got a rave this week, really, but it's the same as what I said last week, I think, or a couple of weeks ago, where it's just been nice to have some sunny weather where we've managed to go out and enjoy the sun and get out in the garden properly and do what we wanted. Or, it's just been nice to get outside and really enjoy the sunny weather. So that is my rave. That is the rave for the week. But we've got 2 entries for the mission. 2 entries for the mission between Stuart and Nigel. Who's going to win? Who's going to win this week? I think Nigel won last week. And he's won again this week. So it's another video for my seedlings. We haven't got a cook along as of yet. Let's remove that. Let me just check. Let's make sure there is no entries for the cook along. So if anybody wants me to cook something next week, get it in there quick. The first one I see will be what we cook. Where were we? Happy St. David's Day, Digwell, and all. Well, apparently he was saying Happy St. David's Day. Rob says, would love that chat, Richard. It's going to be very divisive, I know. It's going to be very divisive. Digwell says, seedlings good. Topical idea. Seedlings good. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Oh, for the mission. For the mission, yeah. We'll probably go into a bit more discussion about what seeds we can sow at this time of year, following on from the mission. And so on with things like that. So, yeah, lots and lots of suggestions, lots of things that we're going to do next week. But the main topic is going to be whether we feed the birds or not. Idaho says, I would be interested to hear what others think about feeding birds. And Rob says, spring to me starts 1st of March. Something to do with leeks. I've got to cook something to do with leeks. A special Swede and carrot mash. Oh, fuck it, we'll do beetroot brownies. We did beetroot brownies before, didn't we? I did say I'd do the first one that I saw, which was Jamie, although no hashtag cook along. So Swede and carrot mash is going to be, I'm afraid. Well, and I'm sure I did the beetroot brownies before because we froze them and have had them recently. Right. It is 7:30. I think it is time to pack up and go to bed. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining me again. It's been good having a good chat. It was interesting to see your thoughts on some of these products. But hopefully next week we'll get a bit more debate going on whether well, as I said, this thing really got me thinking. So hopefully that will lead to a lot of debate. Anyway, I'm babbling on a bit, but all right, I will see you again next Sunday at 6. Until then, please take care.